Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Goddamn Gamecube. Greg and Riley are your hosts today, and today we're going to be talking about the game that completely broke my balls. This game is called Braid, originally released for Xbox 360's Xbox Live Arcade in August 2008. It was critically acclaimed at the time of release and is considered extremely significant for a few reasons. It was the first time an indie game received such mainstream attention from audiences thanks to the platform, and a watershed moment in encouraging other indie developers to pursue such success without a publisher. A remastered version called Braid Anniversary Edition was released in May 2024, featuring updated visuals, remixed sound, and commentary. Go ahead, Riley, let's do it.
Yes, indeed. So this game was self-funded by designer Jonathon Blow over a 3-year period.
Is that his real name?
That's his name.
Oh my God.
So his stated intention was to critique or go against the grain of what was popular at the time. Can we talk about Jonathon Blow for a little bit? Like, what's the verdict on this? Do you know much about him?
Let's blow over.
Let's blow over it.
I don't know a lot about this guy.
He is, I would describe him as irascible.
Okay.
He's very there's some YouTube videos of him talking to like chat streams and stuff, and people asking him like very, normal questions like, how did you get into this, etc. And he's like, well, if you're asking me because you want to be a developer, then you probably shouldn't even try.
Wow.
It's just like very argumentative and very kind of, one of those guys who is like, I think very smart, but he is very aware of that. And it's very. Is he a little
bit of an intelligentsia kind of guy?
I might describe him as such.
Yeah.
I actually played this game when it came out with my friend.
We should be clear here. You played this when it came out. I played it for the first time about 2 months ago.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
So my friend and I played this in high school because my friend was very hip when it came to these kinds of like indie games. This was kind of the birth of the Xbox Live Arcade and later Game Pass and everything kind of starts from here. I wanted to mention also the development of this game was documented in Indie Game the Movie, which came out in 2012.
I really should watch that.
I definitely recommend watching it if you haven't seen it. So Jonathon Blow is in it. It's the development of this game. And Phil Fish, the Fez guy.
Holy shit.
And
another guy with a weird name.
Yes. And the people who made, I think, Super Meat Boy. So it's a very interesting movie you should watch. It's kind of very interesting personalities in the indie game sphere.
Now, should we get into some gameplay? You have any other intro pieces for us?
No, let's get into how it plays.
All right. So do we like how the game plays? You start and I'll add.
I'll say that the controls are pretty tight, but the platforming is a little floatier than you'd expect.
Yeah.
Often led me to reversing time a lot. That's kind of the main quirk of this game.
So I would say like the same issues I have with this game are the same I have a little bit with Celeste, barring a few exceptions. I would say the game does not really have a lot of momentum. You're doing a lot of like beating your head against a puzzle solution, constantly trying again, constantly reversing time. Like platforming rarely has like a musicality to it. It doesn't have a rhythm to it.
Yeah.
You're just kind of breaking my balls against these puzzles.
The puzzles are definitely at the forefront versus the platforming.
Yeah, for sure.
I think you're looking for more of a Donkey Kong Country, where if you know what you're doing, you can just do it on the
Rayman
first.
Origins.
All the ropes are swinging in the right direction.
Yeah.
This is definitely more of a static platformer where you're trying to just figure out how to get through locked doors and stuff like that.
Yep.
There's only a few enemies in this game, which is interesting.
Yep.
Very sparse compared to its peers. So there's only those little like Goomba guys that you jump on. The claws, which are like Mario Piranha plants.
Yep.
And mimics, which are little rabbits with flowers growing out of their backs, and they make like cat sounds.
Yeah, it's really odd.
It's pretty weird. And the bosses, which are basically just big versions of the Goomba guys.
Yep.
So I replayed it recently. I played the anniversary version. I thought all the updated visuals looked great. It looked like very like crisp, almost shiny.
Yep.
But the game is so stylized to begin with. I'm not sure how necessary it was. And I did experience some performance dips in areas where there's a lot going on, like with all the fireballs are flying around.
This was probably a re-release for a new generation of kids. Probably.
Yeah. I mean, and I'm not sure if that was ever the case for the old one though.
Do you know who re-released it? Was it still like self-published? Who published this?
Yeah, I believe he was
wow.
responsible.
Okay, interesting.
And there is a side quest in both versions where you can perform extra challenging maneuvers to collect these little stars, which form a constellation outside of Tim's house. It doesn't really feel worthwhile to me because it doesn't like help you understand the story any better. It's just like something else to do.
Ego trip.
But yeah, I mean, I figured we would kind of hold off on like mechanics until, because each level of the game is kind of a mechanic.
Yeah, the mechanics and the story are kind of together.
Exactly.
So let's do some sound design, some music stuff. Riley, you go.
I love all the music in this game, and I think it's one of the reasons why I remember it so fondly.
Sure.
I wanted to call out this licensed music by Cheryl Ann Fulton, Shira Kamen, and Jami Seberand. Jamie maybe. I feel like it was chosen very thoughtfully to sound interesting or eerie in reverse. There's a lot of cool like cello compositions and stuff.
String work.
Evidently the soundtrack also influenced the art direction of some of the game's backgrounds.
Interesting. I'll say too, they did a really great job when the soundtrack has to reverse and it has to slow.
It sounds cool, right?
It sounds great. They did a good job with this.
And pretty much the only other thing is that the monster noises sound really weird.
Especially when you kill them, it's really strange. Really odd, right?
So strange.
So, all right, art direction's a big part of it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I think it is a very successful and deliberately so. I was reading design choice by making it very clear what is and what is not interactable. Like everything you can touch or interact with is vivid or in focus compared to the backgrounds. A lot of other games, I think, kind of screw this up. Like, what can I actually touch?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I really like the impressionistic backgrounds, though.
Yep, I do too.
Just like very painterly.
Honestly, kind of harkens back to Rayman 1. That kind of stuff.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. It was done by this webcomic artist, David Hellman, and allegedly took over a year to complete.
Okay.
I want to ask you, what do we think of the protagonist, Tim, besides the fact that his name is stupid because it's just time with no E?
I didn't realize that. The one comment I have is, I don't know why the character is dressed in a suit if you're playing out of his house.
Yeah.
Why is he wearing that?
Well, he's wearing it in some of the paintings too, and I got the impression he was like coming home from a wedding or something. Like,
yeah, I don't know. Like, it's kind of odd. If all the levels take place in your house, you'd think he'd be in something more casual.
It's you would think so.
You want to do mechanics, or you got anything else?
Yeah. So this is sort of story too, because there's not a lot of overt story, but we're kind of just going to go chapter.
It's kind of like you have a chapter has some story background, but that chapter has its own gameplay mechanic.
Exactly.
So that's and I will say most of these completely broke me. But here we go.
Okay. Yeah. Some of them, because I will say like that, like as kids or as teenagers, there were some things that we figured out. And some things were like, we have to look this up. Like, I don't know what the fuck to do.
Yep.
So let's just go through chapter by chapter with any comments about how they played or if there was room for improvement. So I wanted to say right off the bat, you have kind of like your hub, which is Tim's house, which is very cozy. And you have basically each room in the house has a jigsaw puzzle you need to put together. And once you complete the jigsaw puzzle for each world, this builds another piece of ladder that helps you reach the attic.
Mm-hmm.
A very, very simple structure, which I like the kind of the basic gist of. You have a clear representation of your progress, etc. You had a comment here about the jigsaw puzzles.
Sure. So I think it's technically World 0. Where it took me hours to realize you can build the photo on purpose. Like, you know, like how this game works is there's a jigsaw puzzle in your house, but that jigsaw puzzle can also be built in the world.
Yes.
So in World 0, there's a jigsaw puzzle in the world, but you can build it wrong on purpose to create platforming elements.
Yes, actually, in both his house, I think the one in his house leads to a star, and the one in World 2 leads to a jigsaw puzzle piece.
Yes. It took me for like hours to figure that out.
And I am quite sure that we did not figure that out on our own, because it's like it doesn't for the compliments that I paid earlier about what's interactable. I did not assume that the jigsaw puzzle itself you'd be able to use a platform.
Yes,
in the picture.
I had no idea like you would be encouraged to build it incorrectly.
That seems like something you maybe want to throw in later on.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Not World 2.
Yep.
It is interesting though.
Mm-hmm.
So World 2 is the first one, and this is just basically like the time rewind. What did you feel about this? Like,
so I'll give you my basic overview of like how I sort of handled my first run through this game.
Yeah.
Most of it I did not understand at all.
Yeah.
And there were certain worlds where I did not get 100% puzzle pieces on my first run at all. I would say in the first 0, 1, and 2, I got a handful.
Yeah.
And then in the later worlds, I had no idea what the fuck I was doing.
Yeah. Yeah. I think just in general, like World 2 is still, this is technically the first world with where you're just rewinding time. It's very straightforward. I think it teaches it to you pretty well.
Yep.
And I think it definitely, not quite as well, but I think it does use that Prince of Persia Sands of Time kind of element of, if I screw up, it's not a game over.
Sure. It's not permanent. You can keep reversing.
Yeah, exactly. World 3 is where you discover objects that are immune to time reversing with the green glow.
So I would say in my Greg brain, it took me like hours to understand that green objects were unaffected.
Right.
And what also warped my brain is when enemies glow green. So they're not affected by time travel. That made me melt. I was like, wow.
This is like where I think this is one of the things that we discovered like by accident, where I understand it now with the keys, where you have to, like, some keys are unaffected by time and others aren't. But what I did not, what we found out completely accidentally was that like enemies can pick up keys and you have to use them in that sense to, it's all like, you really have to be looking at it.
There's a lot
to describe, but like the fact that the enemies can then be a part of puzzle solving basically at this point.
That it took me hours to realize I could take advantage of enemy movements, or sometimes you have to.
Yeah, or where they're going to be positioned, etc. World 4, this is probably,
for me, this was the hardest.
This was maybe the second hardest.
Really? Okay.
Where basically time only moves forward or backward as you do. It's just like so brain breaking.
You're trying to manipulate like how far to the left can I move and how far to the right do I have to go. It's so crazy,
and it feels like it's always like the least thing that you'd expect. Like the solution is just like, it's very like outside of the box kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So this was definitely I think the second hardest. The hardest for me is World 5.
You know what's so crazy?
Yeah.
To me, that was the easiest.
I just, for whatever reason, my brain is not suited for that kind of challenge where basically this is where Tim's shadow becomes an element, but some objects and interactables also have their own shadow.
Yes.
Remember this? And so you have to basically do an action in reverse time, then let your shadow do the action for you while you do something else.
Yeah, how I kind of put it together was, if I reverse time, the shadow is going to do what I just did. Yeah. And so to me, I have a little comparison in my notes here that people might find interesting. I kind of understood it because I kind of related it back to the Majora's Mask doppelganger puzzle, where you have to play a song and it creates a statue of you.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, I have to use me twice.
Yeah.
So it kind of came together for me quicker.
Yeah.
Than really almost anything else.
Yeah, definitely. And World 6 is the one with the ring. I enjoyed this level.
Me too. I think what I put in here was for like, as much as this game killed me, I understood this because ring make things slow, Greg brain understand.
Yeah. that's really, and they kind of, they tie it into the story because you get these little like chapter books before each level.
Yes.
And they talk about how the ring like makes people like hesitant to approach him, and
yes.
like it kind of slows life down and stuff. So I think this was like one of the elements that made the story or the background lore kind of come into focus a little bit more.
Sure.
And I enjoyed playing it more than a lot of the other ones.
And before we get into quote unquote World 1, which is actually last, I'd like to say just one critique I have of this game.
Yeah.
I don't love when puzzle games make you 100% it to see the story. You have to get all puzzle pieces to actually get to World 1. Is that right?
Well, that's like the whole... Yeah, that's the whole thing.
I don't love that, where you had to 100% all the levels to even get there.
To get all the little challenges and stuff. Mm-hmm. If it was more focused on traversal, that might have been worked better. But World 1 is interesting because everything is backwards.
Yes.
And I really think this is incredible. Like the way that they executed it put like such an incredible button on the experience where the way... Basically, the whole time, it's like Tim is looking for the princess, right?
Yep.
He needs to rescue the princess. And the way it happens is you see the truth unfold at the end by just holding the reverse time button. And you see how Tim is actually like... He's the villain, I guess,
yes,
right? He has been stalking this person.
And this is actually the one level where I would say the game has momentum. Like the platforming has a rhythm to it.
Because the whole time it seems like you're playing in reverse at first and it seems like she's helping you.
Yes.
And when you reverse it, she's actually trying to stop you.
Yes,
and
it's
she's
interesting.
Rescued by this knight at the end.
The way that the game sort of presents this to you is there's a wall of fire that you're running from, and the princess is essentially helping you up top while you're like on a lower level and you're kind of flipping switches for each other.
Yeah.
But then you realize at the end that you just played the reverse.
Exactly.
That's kind of how they play this up.
Yeah. And I think, so do you want to get into the story interpretations and stuff? Yeah,
I think that's probably the most important part about this game. I'll also say some of this, I have no fucking idea how people figured this out.
Yeah, it's, there's a lot like kind of buried. I would say on the surface, there's a lot of like kind of, just kind of getting back to the roots of like Mario stuff, you know, like our princess is another castle, etc. The Goombas.
There was a Donkey Kong level. Remember with the barrels? There's a Donkey Kong level.
There's just like a statue of Donkey Kong.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Just rescuing a princess from monsters. Something interesting is that the Goomba's faces kind of resemble the knights. He has a similar beard. And the bosses are wearing similar armor to him.
Huh.
And the princess also has a plushie of the Goombas in her bedroom.
So does that mean like you're bad and the Goombas are the good guys?
I think it's all like just like his framework of like, I hate this guy because he stole the princess away from me, and all the little enemies are going to look like him.
Roger.
You know. Mm-hmm. I think then what you get into with the text, with the books you read, is that there is some kind of failed relationship in the modern world.
Yes. So the books and the paintings seem to suggest a modern day relationship that went sour because of Tim's obsession with quote unquote the princess.
Yeah.
I don't understand this.
Just like what it says in the books, it's like he has some kind of unfulfilled dream or something that he is chasing after, and it turned his actual relationship into dust.
Okay,
much.
Is that what they're implying?
Just on a personal level.
Okay,
right?
Gotcha.
And then we get into the subtext, which is the Oppenheimer.
This is completely insane.
Like, atomic bomb shit.
Go ahead. So what's going on here with this one? Like, by the way, when I read this online, I said, what did I miss? Like, I don't get it.
It's very like kind of tucked away, but once you start looking for it, it's everywhere. Like, one of the last books you read, one of the quotes is, "Now we're all sons of bitches," which is something that was said once the first atomic test happened.
Okay.
The first thing you see when you start the game is the city in flames. The last level is the big wall of fire that's chasing you. If you catch up with the princess, have you seen this footage?
Yes.
Dude, it's scary.
She explodes.
You hear this like alarm going off. And she starts like bugging out, and she explodes. And it's so weird.
It's very odd.
But on any level, it seems like the whole time travel element is this pervasive undercurrent of wanting to reverse time to undo a mistake.
Yes.
Whether it be fucking up your relationship or creating the atomic bomb.
Yes, or both.
We have to undo it.
I would say there's a lot going on under the hood of this puzzle game.
Yeah, for sure. You want to get into final thoughts here?
Yeah, you can go first.
I think the game design and programming is genius, and the packaging is really nice. But I think the story is too sparse to be as profound as some critics suggested.
Sure.
Maybe compared to some games of its ilk, especially of its time. We have to keep in mind how kind of groundbreaking it was at the time. Most of the criticism at release was directed towards its $15 price tag relative to its length. My comment on that is, if only they knew how bad things would get.
Yeah, I think I commented back with holy shit.
I'd love to pay $15 for a game.
I know, right?
Like that, you know. Roger Ebert hated it.
Wait, is this the same guy who was like arguing that video games are not art? That guy?
This is where the conversation happened, where someone said, "What about Braid?" And he's like, "What? I don't give a shit. Fuck Braid."
That's what I think about this.
That's so funny.
That's funny.
There's a really funny video of Soulja Boy playing this. Have you seen it?
Yeah, do you know if he beat it?
I don't think he beat it.
He didn't beat it? Okay.
He's just like enamored with the reverse time mechanic thing, which is incredible. By 2015, it had generated somewhere in between $4 to $6 million in revenue, which Jonathon Blow used to fund his next game, which is called The Witness.
Yep, PS4.
Yep. And I wanted to ask you if you've seen the Game Informer cover for Braid 2.
No.
It's an April Fool's cover, and it's like Tim with like a machine gun.
That's
like
funny.
The little dinosaur guy with like an eye patch and stuff.
That's cool.
It's great. So do you want to have your final thoughts on the game?
Yeah, so I think what's tricky about this game for me is I played this at the wrong time. Like, I feel like this, you could tell me if I'm wrong. I think this game is a game of its time to some extent.
Yeah.
That was no pun intended. Where this is 2008. This is like the forefront of what it means to be like a premier game on the indie scene. It may have been the first one.
Yeah.
And playing it in 2024, if our audience might dislike this, I did not like playing this that much.
Yeah.
Where it felt like to me, I'm consistently just like breaking my balls against these puzzles, and I'm just throwing myself against these solutions, and it's so obtuse. And like, it looks great, it sounds great, but you have to 100% it to see the end. And I think I played this at the wrong time. Like, this is kind of a missed opportunity for me, I think, not playing it earlier.
Yeah, because it's probably influenced so much.
And I've played so many games that have iterated on it, right? Which is tricky.
It's kind of ground zero.
I actually think like my grade for this would be hard to determine.
Yeah.
Give me your thoughts on this.
In terms of how good it is?
Yeah, I mean, obviously groundbreaking industry standard, but
I think I'm going to go with a B.
Okay.
Because it is
B for Braid.
B for Braid. I think the programming is just like, I don't know how the fuck he pulled it off. Like, especially all by himself. Like, he's clearly like,
genius level dude.
Has
he done anything other than The Witness?
I think that was his second game. I think he may be working on something else.
Okay,
I'm not
gotcha.
Sure. But in terms of I think it is incredible in the context of the landscape at the time.
Sure.
It was very historically important. I think just in the sense of tying together a thematic experience. I like all the little parts on their own, but I don't know how well it comes together.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with B, which is I think it's good, but there was room for improvement.
I think I'll go B- because I think I respect it. I don't dislike it. I just felt like more of a challenge or like a test of my abilities rather than like an experience to enjoy.
Yeah. I'll say that like playing it over again, felt like once you know what you're doing, felt better than the first time I played it.
Yeah.
But that might be putting some pressure on the scale for me. But I think I'm gonna go B on this guy.
We have anything else to say about Braid, or are we going short and sweet here?
Just that I hope Tim's doing okay.
Yeah, Tim, we hope you're doing okay, man.
He's one of the more interesting protagonists.
Do you think he liked Oppenheimer?
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah.
All right, that's going to do it for Goddamn GameCube, and we'll see you guys next time. Thanks.